ask y'all. We gon' flip the funk. We gon' flip the funk. Yeah. Listen. I'ma ask y'all. We gon' flip the funk. We gon' flip the funk.
So I figured today what I'd talk about is what goes through my mind, at least one of the things that goes through my mind when I program hi-hats for a drum machine. And one of the most important things that I could think of right off the bat is how I handle velocities. Now, a lot of beginning producers have issues trying to make their drums sound realistic. And most of the times it has to do with your velocity levels and basically how you handle reverb with your drum mixes. So today what we're going to do is we're going to work mostly on velocity, and I'm going to give you a bunch of examples that I've laid out using Groove Agent 4 in Cubase and explain to you how they sound and the importance of why velocity is really important in your drum programming. So let's take a look at this first pattern I have here that I call even velocity. So if you notice here, I have hi-hats on all 16th notes, so they're playing 4 to a beat, and all the velocities are even. Let's take a listen to this. Now it sounds very, very machine gun, very monotone, no emotion whatsoever, no feel. Let's listen to that again. So what I've done now here is I've got another example that I call down strong. And what happens is I've changed the pattern to 8th notes, and I've put the velocity very high on all the downbeats. So basically every time there's a kick, there'll be a very hard hi-hat hit, and then on the off beats there'll be a very mild lower volume. Let's take a listen to this. And notice how those hi-hats hit really hard on those kicks and snares, which enforces the downbeat. It makes it very, very straight, like your typical rock song would have. So let's look at the next pattern. I call this one up strong. And what happens here is I reverse this pattern. So now we have on all the downbeats a very small hi-hat velocity, and on all the off beats I have a very hi-hat a very higher, like stronger sound for the hi-hat. Let's take a listen to this. And notice that there's more of a bounce, almost like a natural swing to the sound here. And you'll find this most of a lot of dance and disco music, anything with more of a groove to it. So let's stop this. I have another one here called Staircase Up. Now if you look at this pattern, you're going to see a very strong hit on the downbeat of 1 and 3, and then the hi-hats are raising in velocity here. So let's play this one here and give you a listen to what it sounds like. Now that's a completely different sound, but you notice that there's a very strong emphasis on 1 and 3, which are probably the most important beats, downbeats in your bar of 4 beats. Now let's reverse this pattern. It's called Staircase Down, and we're going to go hard on beat 1 again, and then we're going to bring it down. Now really pay close attention to these hi-hats here. Now you get this sound where it resembles you have a delay pedal on your hi-hat, and each feedback is getting softer and softer and softer. You can actually recreate this with a delay plugin in your DAW. Really, really simple. This way here is just more of a way to express it so you can see it physically. Now, there's something called accents here. Now what happens with an accent is you're basically focusing your attention on one of the beats in your bar, regardless of what division it is you're set to here. And notice here I have it set to the first beat on the downbeat of beat 1, and the rest of them I just have a couple random velocities here just to get a little more of a flow. So let's take a listen to this one. Notice there's a hard hit on the downbeat, reinforcing that downbeat. Let's take a look at the second one I have here. And now I have it on the and of one. Let's take a listen to this example. So now there's emphasis on that upbeat, and only that one. Good. And let's look at the third example I have here. Now I have it on the E, one E and a, right here, of beat one. Let's take a listen to this one here. Now you can do this really with synthesizers and basses too. If you really want to focus in and really deadlock just that one beat. So what I've done here is I have 3 examples left, and what I've done is I've set up multiple accidents. So you're going to see certain parts of that bar. These hi-hats are going to be really strong, and it's going to give us a very distinct sound to it. Let's take a listen. And now you're noticing a flavor, like this certain vibe you're getting from this hi-hat pattern. And it's still strictly 16th notes. And I'll change this pattern now to the next one. Notice how I have a lot more here, so we should have a completely different sound to it. And finally, the last one right here. What I've done is I've combined a few elements, or I've combined the accents, the really strong ones, and then some staircasing to make it sound more realistic, because most drummers are not playing with a machine gun type of style where they're hitting that hi-hat at the same strength every single time. There's always some kind of variation, but the accents is what makes a drummer fantastic, especially in the live performances, that you can feel the beat at that certain part, and that's only done with just the one instrument. So let's take a listen to this last one. Awesome. So what we've talked about here so far is even velocities, the machine gun sound. We've talked about emphasizing the downbeat, emphasizing the upbeats with the up strong here. Focusing on those ups, which usually you'll hear them with an open hi-hat in most modern dance music. Staircasing up, staircasing down, focusing on one beat in the bar right here, just to prove a point and to make that the emphasis, and then multiples to give your hi-hat pattern life. And really, when you're programming your hi-hats in your tunes, you should really be thinking about multiple accents, getting at least 2 of them in the bar, or at least 1, and then maybe even possibly rotating them. Every other bar you have different accents, right? Then your drums will come alive. It will sound more realistic. So I hope this helps with the idea of velocity and hi-hat patterns. And you can completely use this with your percussion patterns too, when you're playing bongo track or something else, and you really want to make that one instrument come alive in your tracks. And I hope this really helps, and I'll see you soon. Cheers.